Right, next up, we may well move the networking session to later on in the afternoon, depending on what the PO says. He's standing there with folded arms and looking intimidating, but I'm not falling for it. So next up, we have our own Mr. Akin Oladoja and General Okokoto, also known as Conrad. I have to give him his official name, which is quite difficult for me. And they are going to talk about some Agility tools. I think the word audit was mentioned, and I think that dovetails very neatly into what Conrad and Akin are going to speak about. So Conrad, Akin, are you both coming up together? No, clearly not. The floor's yours.
First thing I want to get out is I do not take very kindly to difficult questions. So you see that thing you guys are doing, don't do it to me. I'll be very upset. Okay, we're ready. Right, so today I'm going to talk about BAS. I will talk about what the acronym is later on. Well, it's there already actually. It's Business Agility Snapshot. It is a tool created by Agility for forward-thinking, strategic tool for forward-thinking leaders who want to maximize the return on their investment. Before we go any further, let's have a little fun. So we've got the Mentimeter. Where is it? Why don't we have it up? Have we got it up? No? Mentimeter, please. Sorry? Okay, so while we're trying to figure out the technical glitch, there's a series of questions coming up, and it's really important that we all, or as much as possible, as many of us as possible, actually participate in this, because it's a precursor to everything else that follows. But while we're waiting for that, I would say that the BAS service is a product of angst. And I say angst because we looked at the landscape from my experience as transformation consultants over many years, and we realized that the customer is being shortchanged. Not just the customer, but also when transformations fail, it's not just about money. It's about dreams. It's about aspirations. Okay, so, and this is really important. We're passionate about what we do. We do what we do because we want to make a difference. So we thought somebody has got to step in that gap to fight for the, not the small man this time actually, but fight for the organizations, which is quite you know, almost funny. So let's look at, are we all, yeah? Let's see what we've got. Oops. Okay, waiting for responses. Okay. So the question is, what are common challenges to agile transformations? Leadership, again, a common theme that keeps coming up, right? This has been, it's almost like we can make a mantra out of this now. Yeah? Culture. Resistance to change, again, another thing coming up. Lack of evidence, very interesting. Not knowing your why, I think that's saying. Anything else? What we got? Lack of teamwork, okay. Or fear is a really good one. Okay. Insecurity related to fear, related to resistance to change, related to leadership. Yeah. There's a theme, there's a common theme going on here. Okay. What else? Stuck in your old ways, okay. Systems, okay. Productivity. Right, okay, cool. We can spend all day doing this. So let's move to the next question. Do we need to close this first? Okay, so all that great stuff that we've done there, while you're doing this, fear, leadership, not knowing your why. These are all very key things. So I'll use the adage with the not knowing your why. If you do not know where you're going, how do you know when you get there, right? A lot of times, transformations are born out of one of two things, or both. It's a need to change, you're responding to some sort of some threat, or you're trying to get better. Sometimes it's both. A lot of times it's actually both. Now, either which way, you've got to frame your destination properly, because it's not clear where you're going. You will not know when you get there, okay? So the second question is what the cause of these challenges should be interesting. So non-agile thinking, lack of information, fear of change, lack of vision, perception, ego, mentality, systemic issues, perception, all great stuff. Leadership anti-culture. What else have we got there? Misunderstanding, misaligned goals. Great stuff. There's a theme emerging there from goals, which I was just talking about. And all of these things you will find are linked to culture, right? So they're essentially, well, one of the processes we have out there for measuring business agility transformation are based on the Hesselberg's 5 ways: culture, leadership, organizational design, people, and technology, which we'll cover later on when we talk about our report. Okay, all great stuff. Really good. Okay. Too busy, lack of exposure, mediocre mindset, territoriality, really good. So you see, again, a lot of this stuff that we see here, if you unpack them, you will realize that a lot of them lead back to culture. And leadership is central to culture change, right, in every organization. So we've got very clear themes emerging here. Should we do the next one quickly, and then we'll dive into the actual stuff. Right, so quiz for you. What is the percentage of successful agile transformations you think? So this question is about globally, with agile transformations that are undertaken in industry, what do you think? What sense do you have of the percentage that are actually successful? Okay. Okay, looks like we have, oh no, it's changing. Let's give a couple of minutes. Oh, a minute. Okay, so it looks like the consensus is that 40 to 70% are successful, which is very interesting. It's interesting because all of these statistics we have out there are kind of the opposite. Okay? So the perception is actually not in alignment with reality. Yeah? 3.4. Okay, keep going. Right. So, and this is, I talked about angst earlier on, that the BAS product was born out of angst. It was born out of angst because, like I said, we felt that the client was getting shortchanged all the time. And there was nobody that it seems there was nobody to fight for them, right? So it's very similar to having a match where you've got two sides. One side being the client wanting to achieve this great stuff for their business, and on the other side, you've got typically consultants who come in and say, we are the best in sliced bread. We've got a one-shot wonder that will fix all your problems. Now, on the other side, they might know their problems, but they don't actually, it's a new world to them. They don't actually understand what good looks like. There's no referee in the, on that field that says, you know what, we're going to come here, we understand the game, we are impartial, going to look out for you. There's nobody. It doesn't seem like it's out there. That is what BAS is about. So the 5 key areas of the product, like I said earlier on, is about getting a second opinion to complement or support what you're doing. That is the unbiased umpire. It's also a tool that helps you assure that you're putting your money, you're spending your money correctly, right? Now, in England and pretty much across the world, a lot of organizations are in many iterations of their business agility transformation, right? They start it, they get frustrated, it stops for a while, they start it again, they get a new consultant in, and it just goes on and on and on. And it's just frustrating. So who is there to say, you know what, we think you're spending your money the right way or not? We've got our agility guide, the 7 elements, Agility agility guide, is 7 elements to manage or engage our engagement and the implementation. We've got, we apply evidence-based management to ensure that we're not just giving you, we're not plugging things from the air. What we're giving you is actually data that is not only relevant to your organization to help you make the right decisions, but it's data that we've gathered from your organizations that creates into insights. Red team thinking is a key part of that. Once we've gathered the evidence, we then use red team thinking to unpack it. And then all of that then leads to a snapshot report, which is tied to OKRs. We ensure that our snapshots are based on the key value areas and the agreed key value metrics. So this is not about us coming into any organization to say, this is how we think you should do it. This is why you should do it. It's us saying, talk to us. Let's understand your story. Let's see where you are. And I must say that this product is designed for every type of business in undergoing transformation at any stage. It could be at the beginning where you're not too sure. We can come in and say, okay, let's understand the landscape and let's help you understand the key things you want to look out for, the things you want to avoid, and things you want to ensure that you have in place before you start. Things like that include, obviously, goal setting, vision, things like that, which sort of bread and butter, as we know, if you've been in the game a while. So it helps people like that. It also helps businesses that have been in transformation that have failed or failing, and they're not quite sure which way to go next, right? So the sort of thing we see out of this is it gives insight to business leaders to actually make the right sort of decisions to help them, decide whether this journey is something you want to even go on, right? Because change is painful. I think we said that before, right? And a lot of leaders don't understand this, that change is painful. Business agility is not about your tech side. It's not about one side of the organization. If you want to achieve business agility, not agile adoption, but business agility, it's a 360-degree overhaul of your entire organization, okay? And that can be painful, as I said before, because you've got entrenched cultures. You do things, you've done things a certain ways work for you, kind of like Nana alluded to earlier on. Why would you change, right? So, again, this is kind of just a rehash of the previous slide. Strategic tool, it's for thinking. It helps you understand your investment. The other thing as well is being industry insiders, ourselves, we can actually give you some guidance as to how you choose a partner on that journey. Okay, what sort of things you need to look out for. So when you go out to market to look for someone who you're going to invest your money and your time and your hopes in, it's a lot easier for you to figure out you've got something to weight them, against, right? So you're making more informed decisions. Like to say is that the financial implications of using BAS are twofold. Firstly, curtailing unnecessary drains on capital arising from misaligned strategies. That word again has come up. And secondly, enhancing existing revenue streams by harnessing an agile approach that responds efficiently to market shifts. Right. So just a quick overview of the sort of benefits, just to re-stress the point. Insights, the BAS insights to strengths and your weaknesses, because again, this is not us coming in to give you a sugar-coated pill. We're actually going to your organization to talk to your people, to talk to real people. We gather insights based on what has happened in actual fact, based on what is happening now, and we put all of that into, that gives us a picture. We paint a story for you that helps you get the true picture of the lay of your land so that you're able to make better decisions. It's about continuous improvement, helps you mitigate your risk, enhance decision making, it improves your competitive advantage, it's enhanced customer value, employee engagement, which is another big one, which we haven't talked so much about. A lot of businesses get really, they get into serious trouble from failed transformations. Why is that? Because you do not know what you do not know. You start something which is new, and then you pockets of success, which gives you, or vistas of success, which gives you a view to what could be, a world that could be. And then you pull the plug. At that point, your best people are going to leave, right? Because they realize, actually, we were in this team, we were doing quite well, and now we can't anymore because, they pulled the plug. They will go somewhere else, right? Because now they know something they didn't know, and you can't give it to them anymore, they'll go and find it out there. Right, so I'm not going to spend time on that anymore. So what you get out of BAS is essentially, at the end of that, you get a report. That report is based on 5 key elements, insights that we gather from across the organization. All right, like I talked about. Thank you. Okay. So it's about, we get insights based on our research and our survey and our interviews from leadership. and we put that into your report. Culture, again, that big thing. Organizational design. So when we talk about org design, it's things like how is your organization optimized for the flow of information and collaboration, okay? A lot of organizations fall down on this front alone because they want to be agile. However, we want to work in physical siloed and things like that, right? That's really, really important. People, I'm not going to stress that. Again, it's been talked about so many times, and that's really central. And the final one area is technology. Now, again, with technology, we're not talking about technology for the delivery of your products. We're talking about we're not talking about technology of your products. We're talking about the utilization of technology to enhance your agility. Okay, that's what that's looking about. Akin is going to come next to speak specifically to that point and draw the connection of the right tooling strategy to your success of your business agility transformation. And I yield. Thank you. Like I said, no hard questions for me, please. No, you need to take questions. That's wicked. Okay. Yeah. Thank God.
So what's happening is you're going to sit there and you're going to continue with your bit, and then there's going to be questions afterwards.
Okay.
I sent it telepathically.
Sorry, I forgot. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the bit I don't like doing, to be honest. I'm a shy type, and please take it easy with me, okay? Can I have my slide up, please? So whilst we're waiting for that, I'm going to be talking about tooling strategy. And we've listened to different things yesterday. One bit that is missing in every transformation is whatever we are doing, how do we empower people with the right tool? What tool is right for an organization? So to start with, can we all join the Menti, because I need to ask some few questions about tooling. And can we go to Menti, please? The next one. Apologies, everyone. Okay, whilst we are waiting for Menti to be shown on the screen, so the first question is basically, what do we mean by Agile tooling strategy? And how do we ensure that this is incorporated into Agile transformation? In our experience, we've been to a lot of organizations, and what we've noticed is the lack of that helicopter view. How do we have a strategic team from the enterprise linked directly to the team level, to the Agile teams? Still not. That's fine. We can continue with the slide. That's fine.
I would suggest let's continue with the slide, please. Because of time. Yeah, people are quite hungry here, so please. Okay, let's continue with this. Okay. Yeah. So what you have on the screen is what we refer to as tooling strategy. It is quite important in a lot of organizations. I've worked within the public and the private sector in the UK. And I can tell you, most places I've been to, they lack this strategy. And you know, you can talk about everything, empowering people, empowering leaders. But what we fail to understand at times is that, have we given them the right tool to be able to do their jobs properly? We talk about decentralization. If I don't trust you to get things done, how do we decentralize decision making? By having this, having that opportunity to see stuff in real time and how everything linked to the portfolio, decisions can be made quickly. So, sorry, I don't know. There's a lag. Sorry about that. Okay. So the points you're seeing on the screen, these are the few reasons why we need to have the tooling strategy. The one I'm going to point to here is, if we look at the first 5, especially visibility and transparency, that is why we do Agile. You know, if we cannot see everything in real time, then we are still working in silo, and that is the gospel truth. You go into organizations, you see them having Jira, everything. That information is contained to a particular area. How do we use that information in real time to learn from the changes in the market, what we need to deliver? And that is why we need to have a tooling strategy. As a matter of fact, as I'm speaking to you here, an organization, which I don't want to mention their name, have asked me to write one for them. Because what they've noticed is that they don't have that, and it is drawing them back from the Agile transformation. So that is why this is quite key. Okay, to the next slide. So what are the challenges? Again, I've mentioned a few things about this. Inconsistency, inefficient planning, making it difficult to scale up. The issue we have is scaling up. Agile is quite easy to be done at the team level. But when we start going more than one teams, 10 teams, 20 teams, how do you link everything together? Again, dependencies. How do we manage dependencies? It's impossible for one Agile team to do everything. The right tooling allows us to see information in real time, and that is what this is all about. Again, the adoption of global culture and common methodologies. Look, team level Agiles don't scale up to large or complicated projects. And a lot of organizations today that they've adopted Agile, you will see a lot of silos. They are quite good on the team level, but how does everything link up to the portfolio and the strategic teams? This is what I'm going to introduce to you, Digital.AI. It's one of the few tools out there that does this very well. And I personally have been using this tool for more than 3 years. As a matter of fact, I've helped large corporations set this, because what this does is that from the strategic level, you can have that helicopter view down to the team level. Recently, I was having a chat with a friend, he's worked everywhere as a director. And I said to him, whilst you're doing your job, what are the main issues that you find? What he said to me was inability to see everything. They are not able to make decisions in real time. So a bit about agility. It's an enterprise tooling that allows, especially when you're adopting Agile, that allows that consistency and visibility. If you notice the word there, portfolio level. An organization without a defined portfolio, I'm sorry, they've not adopted Agile. Because portfolio is key to where we want to be in the future. The current state versus the future state. That's few screenshots of what you get. So the screenshot at the top there gives you that portfolio Kanban. Without portfolio Kanban, everything that is done on the program, the team level, is linked to the portfolio. And the screenshot below there gives you the program board. That's just a typical example of what you can get, okay? And as an organization, this is where we want to get to. How do we link stuffs from the enterprise? How do we link everything down to the team level? That is the solution the tool allows you to do. Apart from these tools, there are other toolings out there that does the same thing, but why it is critical is that we need to think about connectivity. How do we link stuffs from the strategic to the team level? Unfortunately, the Menti didn't work. I will have asked some few questions. I believe that's me done today, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, Akin. Thank you, Conrad. So, Akin is an absolute technocrat. I have worked with Akin for 18 months, and he has made me look brilliant. It's the truth. What he does behind the scenes with tooling is what people like me, who are focused on all of this ethereal stuff that I roll on about, need to bring it down to earth to make it land. Because we talk about the agile onion, and at some point we'll show this, where we've got things like vision, but vision has to be connected with toolings to create effects. So Akin is a guy that does that. We really had to twist his arm to get him up here, so let's give him a round of applause and encourage him so he comes up a little bit more. Thank you to General. So here's a potential. We've got 7 minutes to lunch. But I think there are some questions, because some really interesting stuff. So we're going to continue on that theme, and I will jump in as well, because I am involved in this, in what the guys are doing. So let's take some questions.
Recording in progress.
The idea is that we're going to leave for lunch at 1:15. So we've only got perhaps 2 or 3 questions. Short, sharp answers, and then we'll get down, have lunch, and then we've got somebody waiting in the UK who is going to deliver a virtual presentation. So there's a few things to juggle and balance, but let's get some questions. All the mics are up here. Yes, don't worry, you'll get one. There you go. You can share that one. Okay.
So you talked about evidence-based management and getting those baseline measures in place so an organization can see if they're improving. Can you tell us more about what kind of measures you're looking for? And I guess my question is, do a lot of the organizations you're working with have those in place already, or are they new measures that you have to introduce to be able to show that Agile's working?
Okay. A lot of organizations, they have all this information already. It's just making best use of it. I'll give you a typical example. So in the last few weeks, one of the large organizations in the UK, they have all the data, but not knowing how to use the word predictability. You know, in Agile, we all talk about predictability, but how do we actually measure predictability? So I came up with that idea using the existing tooling they have. And I was able to draw something to compare quarter from quarter one to quarter two. What was the predictability for quarter one, and how do we use that to prepare ourselves for quarter two? So this is more of a quarterly report, more than every sprint or something. This is something you have that holistic view across the quarter. Because if you look at it, a lot of organizations are going into quarter with big room planning, setting objectives. How do you actually measure the committed versus completed? Without being able to measure this, unfortunately, we would not be able to measure our true predictability. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I just wanted to say I've had the pleasure of working with these guys, and they're both geniuses. So, but bearing in mind you've asked for simple questions, this question is directed at General. So there was a slide you put up where you mentioned and just briefly touched on the agility guide. So 7 elements to managing engagements and implementations. If you wouldn't mind just giving a highlight of what's your typical format.
Oh boy.
Oh, sorry. I didn't achieve the
That is
objective.
simple?
Really?
That is not simple at all. Because I honestly can't remember the 7 of them. However, I know that Robin does.
Right. Go for it, Robin.
Go on then. He's much smarter than I am.
So I've been thrown under the bus. And when you're thrown under the bus, all you can do is be squashed. So essentially, what we're looking at are the elements that we consider for the organization in order to measure. So we're looking at the processes, we're looking at the people, we're looking at the technology, and then we're looking at how those things interact. We're looking at the lines of communication. We're looking at if there is an organizational flow for all of those elements. So essentially, you look at the key components of activity within an organization, of which I've mentioned, and then you consider how they are interacting. The baseline, and somebody said this yesterday, that what you actually do is you've got to go into an organization and observe where they are and actually define a present position, a baseline or a present position where they are at. Then you've got to generate from them what the aspirational goal actually is. I mean, when you consider that most people actually don't want to change, it's worth asking that as opposed to superimposing that on them. So once you then have the baseline and you then have an aspiration, you then have a delta, where we are, where we want to get to, and then the employable means. And these could be numerous, like value stream mapping or organizational redesign, etc. So hopefully that answers your question. All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
General.
Robin. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so just to add to that very quickly. Now he's done the difficult part. So all of that kind of feed into the report at the end. So I mentioned 5 elements, right? Culture, people, technology, leadership, and org design, right? So all of that stuff, we've got algorithms at the back that then relate each of those every single item to those 5 broad elements. Yeah, and that's what we spit out at the end. It gives you a holistic view of your entire organization's position.
McCall.
I'll try to make mine relatively simple because I know I'm standing between us and lunch. So my question is for Akin, because I've gone through my career and dealt with many different tools. The problem with many of the Agile tools that are out there is that they have their own take on implementation. Jira, for example, will build in a desire for you to estimate in hours when you're estimating. Whether you think that's a good idea or not, it's part of the tool. As part of your exploration of tools, and with this tool, how do you help organizations keep from using the tool to dictate their process and use, or do you use the process to inform the tool, or does it just match up well? Tell us about the risks there for Digital.AI.
That's a very good question. And this is why I personally don't like Jira, and I'll tell you why.
Who does?
Jira does impose work items, a new process onto an organization. So what I usually do is define the direction of travel for the organization. Are you practicing safe? Are you what are you doing? And tailor the tool according to the framework the organization is using. Every of these tools can be tailored to some extent. For an example, this tool, we usually say is scaled Agile framework out of the box. Does everything Safe Agile says. In terms of the release train, the program board, on the program board, it does give you ability to have that dependency lines between each swim lanes to understand the dependency, and especially the roadmap. So as an organization on the strategic level, you want to understand, the pipeline, what is coming into work a year or two, subject to change as demanded by the market. So my general approach is what it is you are doing as an organization and how best can we tailor the tool. And that is what that's my area of specialty, tailoring.
So your tool recommendation changes based on the organization's needs. It's not the same tool every time. It's adjusted.
To be honest, it depends on the organization. Okay, it depends on the organization. Some organization, before you get the tooling set up in a way that delivers the value, you've got to probably go through training, reorg. So all those things needs to come into place before we can truly say, okay, how can we tailor this tool to match what we need? The true thing is, an organization wants to constantly deliver value and measure velocity. If we are now set up in the right way, how do we do that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, folks, we're going to wrap for lunch. I'd like to thank Akin and Conrad. And I'd like to thank you guys. You've actually been awesome. Scary, but awesome. So the plan is to be back at 2:05. So that's the plan. So I think you know where lunch is. We're going to break for lunch now, and we'll see you back in the main hall at 2:05, 14:05. Thank you, folks. DJ, drop the rhythm.